30,000 cows on 50 acres of ground or 50,000 chickens on 10 acres of ground, you're going to have issues.
If good management practices aren't followed, waste could flow downstream into lower Roaring River.
There's a lot of contaminated water already in Missouri.
We have no doubt that there is going to be a long-term tainting of that aquifer.
We don't live on a frontier anymore. There aren't vast, unlimited supplies of resources, and we all live downstream.
In the Ozarks, water flows everywhere. Spring-fed streams run through the valleys that characterize the region. The importance of fresh water cannot be overemphasized. Where it is abundant, life thrives. Of all the water on planet Earth, only 1.6% is available as fresh water. This is the water that our fish swim in. This is the water that nourishes our land and wildlife. This is the water we drink and refresh ourselves with. Without this fresh, bountiful supply, life as we know it would not exist. Roaring River State Park is located south of Cassville, near the Arkansas border. Nestled into the rolling Ozark countryside, the park offers opportunities for families to spend time away from the stress of our hectic lifestyle. Some see fishing as the park's main attraction, as it is known as a premier trout fishing destination. Every year, around 3,000 people line up along the banks of Roaring River during the opening day of fishing season, hoping to catch that perfect lunker.
We raise and stock about 280,000 a year for the park, and we stock every single night of the season, which is March 1 through October 31. And we also maintain the winter fishing, which is catch and release only weekends. So the hatchery is responsible for the trout, and it really brings in a lot of revenue for the area. There certainly are a lot of other things, like the trails and nature center and camping, and it would be a beautiful place to come to without the trout fishing. But I think the trout probably attracts more people than anything. It certainly wouldn't be as heavily visited place if it wasn't for the trout fishing. It's been going on for so long, since more than 70 years. So it worked its way into the tradition of the area and the state and that sort of thing.
We get a lot of families that come back year after year after year after year. Some of these families have been coming here for 40, 45, 50 years. And it's nice to have those people come back and you see them every year. You know who they are. I mean, you can make friendships from people from Texas and Oklahoma, Louisiana, all over the United States, and they keep coming back every year. I really like that. I mean, that gives a nice personal feel to the park. It's not like you're seeing somebody new every single day. You have these same people come back same time every year. That's one of the things I like about the park. I also like the natural communities. This park is almost 100% natural. I mean, like I said before, most of the development is along the river. The rest of the park is in a natural setting. Now we're in the process of trying to restore the natural communities, because if you look around, there's a lot of cedar trees that were not here 150 years ago, even 100 years ago. Most of these cedar trees you see are less than 80 years old. So it's something we're trying to restore and bring back that natural native landscape. And that's another part I like about it, because it is so natural. That's one to look around here at the architecture, the CCC. I mean, there's a lot of history here in this area. I mean, the Civilian Conservation Corps built the park, and a lot of it is what we're still using today. The nature center, the dam around the spring pool, the hatchery, the CCC lodge, most of the trails here in the park. So our group camp, Camp Smokies, remains of some of the buildings that they used while they was here. So there's a lot of history, a lot of natural stuff, and the people.
And with the trees, you feel like you are. You're living in the forest. You're living in Mother Nature. The wild animals, I have seen raccoon here during the days. We have many, many bald eagles who nest in the area. We have deer that come into this area. And the list goes on of all the wildlife. And so it's Mother Nature at her best. And that's pretty much what makes this place special. And it's not just the fishing that people come back here for. You talk to anyone who comes here, they'll tell you they came for the fishing, but they also come for the beauty and the rest and relaxation of being in Mother Nature.
A few miles downstream from this pristine area, a problem has emerged. Concentrated animal feeding operations are corporate farms that house massive amounts of animals in the smallest possible area. Attention has been drawn to these feeding operations over their ethical and environmental impact. The Osborne CAFO, east of the park, is the newest poultry farm that poses health and environmental hazards.
Well, primarily, especially when you're dealing with what we deal with mostly in the southwest part of the state here, which is poultry CAFOs, you're dealing with two different types of issues. First, the waste product, from the chicken itself, like in the case of the Osborne CAFO at Roaring River, I think 65,000 chickens on a few acres of ground. That's a lot of chicken poop. You hear a lot of people talk about this in terms of if it runs off into the stream, or if it isn't an if in the Ozarks, it's a when. And basically that when is every time it rains, because our karst topography and the slope of the ground puts us in such a situation where you don't get a lot of soil absorption that doesn't end up in the groundwater, which ends up in our surface waters, our lakes and our rivers. So that the waste is really, really, really high in phosphorus. And that phosphorus in the streams and in the lakes creates a dangerously high, damagingly high level of algae populations. And you get these huge algae blooms that basically they eat up all of the oxygen in the water that the fish need to survive. On the other hand, the fish eat things that eat algae. So, some people think, oh, well, the more algae, the better. Well, that's not true, because at some point you get too much algae, and the algae, when it dies, it converts the oxygen out of the water. And so you have this oxygen starvation situation set in, and you have a big fish kill on your hands.
If good management practices aren't followed, waste could flow downstream into lower Roaring River. A lot of attention has been drawn to that farm because it is so close to the state park, and rightfully so. A lot of attention should be drawn to it. But there's other areas like our recharge area, which is determined to be mostly west of here in the Washburn area, where the water actually comes from, for the spring. And I think some of those places could potentially damage the system as much as, or more than the farm that's close to us. Some studies have been done. A person that works for the Department of Natural Resources that has done some dye study tests of where the actual recharge area comes from, and several places in the Washburn Prairie, sinkholes there have been determined to be, where the water does come from. So I think the whole area, the whole recharge area, should be looked at, as well as places just close to the park.
Prevailing winds from this area is from the south to southwest, so any odor will be blown away from the park. Water quality issues, by where they're at, is some hollows. Those streams feed Roaring River, but it's below the park. Subsurface wise, we're not aware at the present time of any subsurface water that runs into Roaring River Spring. We've done some dye testing, and everything in that area does not come west of the spring.